When it comes to smartphones, there are a few aspects that age quickly, and a few that don't. You've got things like processing power, you've got things like cameras. They're improving so fast each year that some mid-range devices can make mincemeat of flagships from just a few years ago. But then you've got materials, the quality of the display, and subtler things like how good the vibration motor is. And it's in these aspects that older flagship smartphones come out on top versus cheaper, newer ones. Those phones may look just as good on a spec sheet, but they'll feel nothing alike when you pick them up. Enter the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus, a phone that is recent enough that it still comes out on top in terms of power and cameras, but is now old enough that you're getting those premium quality materials for not a huge amount of money. But how much? If you're really keen on getting one brand new, you're looking at somewhere between $450 and $500. But things get really interesting when you start looking at the refurbished options. You can get the S9 Plus for about $330, the standard S9 for about $280, and then, if you're willing to accept one in worse condition, as low as $199. Alright, late last year, Dave2D made a video about how this was a brilliant phone for $500, and since then the phone has become not just even cheaper, but even better. Take a listen to this. When the S9 Plus launched, it got good reviews. It was a great but unsurprising upgrade, with a 4 to 5 star rating across the board. The main complaints were that it's expensive considering it's an iterative upgrade, AR emojis kinda sucked, and it had a software skin that felt sluggish. So, fast forward a year, and whilst AR emoji continues to make me look like I should really get some help, the phone's other two weaknesses have been more than just fixed. We've had One UI, which has massively boosted performance. You'll notice it when you're flicking through your recent apps, or changing the modes of the camera. We've got a night mode, which is not just a fresh coat of paint, but saves battery too. And this new material design brings the phone more in line with Google's own. I was never a fan of the way Samsung's previous space age theme looked, but One UI has kind of turned that negative to a positive. There have also been subtler upgrades. Samsung has tweaked the front camera to allow it to better expose your face, and it now lets you, like the S10, adjust the field of view when taking selfies. They've also added in the same scene detection algorithm you get on the newer phones. Another example of a cool new feature that comes with this Android 9 upgrade is, say for example you've turned off auto rotate because you usually use your phone in portrait, but then for one particular task you wanted to use landscape. You now get given this little indicator in the corner that lets you temporarily switch orientation. The point being that, compared to the original Samsung Experience skin that the phone launched with, there has just been a whole load of quality of life improvements. When it comes to flagship smartphone pricing, and there are exceptions, but this is what tends to happen. The phone launches, and for at least a month it's almost impossible to get it below the launch price. Then a couple of deals and discounts start coming in, you might be able to get 10% off. We see the most significant drops though when new phones come out from the same company, and so the S9 Plus saw one drop when the Note 9 came out, roughly 6 months in, and then another when the S10 came out, in total 1 year later. After this point, once the phone has been effectively replaced, whilst it will continue to fall in price, the rate at which it falls will be lower. Long story short, right now is a sweet spot. Right now, this phone makes sense. At close to $350, the kinds of phones you could alternatively buy this year if you wanted brand new are things like the Huawei P30 Lite, the Red Magic Mars, or the Xiaomi Mi 9 SE. And those are all good phones, but you'll struggle to find devices that have IP68 water resistance, phones that can do wireless charging, phones with dual speaker setups, or even just a camera that is this consistently good. Don't get me wrong, there are reasons why you might want to buy a newer, cheaper phone as opposed to a maybe used flagship, but performance is not one of them. A top-end chip from last year is still going to massively outperform any kind of current mid-range chip. If you're a gamer, then games are still going to run better on this phone than them. You might have seen my video on the best smartphones of 2019 so far, where I mentioned that this smartphone is a better buy than the Galaxy Note 9. And to clarify, the Note 9 is similar to the S9 Plus but with a noticeably larger battery. It's a better phone all round, but the thing is, I couldn't find one for less than about $500. And so the takeaway is, if you can find an amazing deal on it, then it's worth going for. But from what I've seen, the S9 is consistently better bang for your buck. Right now at least. And yeah, this video shouldn't take away from the appeal of the S10 phones either. They are a massive improvement in not just performance and battery, but design. You pretty much lose the bezels and you get an even better display. But they're expensive, twice the price, and so are really for a different type of consumer. If you can spring for that, I'd recommend it, but if you can't, then I'd pay attention to the Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus. If you enjoyed this video, it'd be massively appreciated if you could subscribe to the channel. My name is Aaron, this is Mr. Who's the Boss, and I'll catch you in the next one.